face, front true believers. Welcome to the Pitch Nerds. We are the weekly show where two nerds gather around the computer to bring you the latest in nerdy news, reviews, and pitches. I'm Cap, and joining with me today, as always, his best friend, fellow nerd, and Chernobyl survivor, Mr. Frosty. Mr. Frosty, how are you doing on this glorious morning?
I think that happened before I was born, but I mean, I guess you could say I survived it because I was born. So from a certain perspective.
From a certain point of view.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, good morning, guys. Thank you for joining us, and for those of you who will be tuning in soon, how do you do? Boy, we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. We have the big James Gunn release with DC Studios. Excited to talk about that. We've got the latest round of Battle Nerds where we put Nightwing against Starkiller. We have some My Little Pony pitches and much, much more. Some Vox Machina, Last of Us. Mwah! Cannot wait. I've been waiting for this moment, Frosty, all week.
Yeah. There's I definitely the James Gunn stuff got me excited. I tried to talk to a few of you on Twitter. A lot of the people that follow us are very much Snyder fans, and so it's hard to I'm not picking on anybody or anything like that, but you're like, so what did you think? And they're like, raw, no Snyder, raw, and I'm just like, okay, well, that's cool.
Cheerio.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone does, I really want to know what people's thoughts are, like what people think, because we'll get into it in a minute, but all the James Gunn, what's his name, Pete Safran stuff, it sounds really cool to me.
It does. And what I like about it is that and I can't wait to talk to you about this because I'm actually not familiar with some of the releases, and I watched Movie Bob go through his opinion on all of it, so I kind of learned from him what a lot of these properties were that I wasn't familiar with.
There's some obscure things, and then there's some A-listers.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then like you said, we're also going to be doing. Obviously, we had the Last of Us episode which dropped, which everybody was talking about.
Oh my god.
The last few episodes of Vox Machina, which is just quality.
Oh my god.
Show. And then Attack the Block, which is a British sci-fi flick in our Behold Nerds, which I am a big fan of. And then, oh boy, our pitches due to fellow nerd
Mr. Noble.
Noble.
Thank you, Andy.
We went with he chose My Little Pony. So you know what though, I actually had a lot of fun. I finished writing it this morning, and I'm really excited to present mine. But yeah,
I stuck to sort of my original idea. I've had a busy week, but I can't wait to share mine because I think we both went creatively different directions from just an average My Little Pony, which is super awesome, by the way.
I did my best though. I actually spent a lot of time reading about the characters. And I even watched a couple of episodes to I guess still appeal to people that are into that franchise.
Right.
Well, it's not my thing. Like I always say, I'm not going to tell people what they can like. And if you like My Little Pony, then more power to you.
Right.
It is definitely not something I would care to sit down and watch, but that's fair.
It's a cute little show.
I think it's way better than what we had back in the 80s. Again, I didn't watch that one either, but when you it's a world now. It's got rules and laws, and you know what I mean? Like they created a universe, whereas like back when it was like, buy our toys.
Right.
And that's all it was.
Yeah. Well, that should be fun.
Also, should we just do a quick thank you? Last week, what's fellow nerd's name?
The gentleman that engaged with us with the.
I'll pull up his name in a second. Apologize if you're watching. It's hard to keep. Also shout out to Neko Meowster as always. You're always liking everything that we talk. Thoughts before you, Rem. Thank you for joining us last week in discussion. We really appreciated you tuning in. And everybody else that chats with us and watches us, thank you as well. We really appreciate it.
Yes. Let's talk about some nerdy shit, damn it. I want to
All
talk
right,
James Gunn.
Yeah, I do too. Okay. So obviously, yeah, we're gonna skip over most of our normal nerdy news just because the James Gunn stuff is so eclipsing.
This stays is precedent.
But anyway, so James Gunn came out and with his slate of movies, and also very interesting to me anyway. He released, he suggested several comic books people read to kind of get the vibe he's going for. And also, I thought it was funny. As soon as he did, they all got sold out. All the graphic novels.
Really?
Yeah, you can't buy them anywhere now.
With the flourish of his wand,
people seem pretty excited. But let's see. So the movie slate. Should we go through them like just I guess one at a time?
Yeah, just go through them one at a time. Well, the first one isn't going to be an actual movie. It's going to be an animated.
Yeah. Okay. So we got Creature Commandos.
Yes.
Which is going to be a 7-episode animated series written by Gunn. It's already in production. It's basically classic movie monsters that have come together to
World War II, right?
Yeah, they're like they're a team of like vampire, Medusa, Frankenstein and all that, and they're soldiers. Similar team exists, I think, like the Howling Commandos and Marvel and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's like that. There was an animated like short on the DC Nation with these guys that I thought was pretty good. Funny too. So, and I think this is right up James Gunn's alley. I mean, like, they're Z-listers for sure.
Well, I heard Weasel was actually one of the members of the house.
Yeah, he was. So. Yeah. I mean, in my mind, I think of it as the Dracula character, werewolf, Frankenstein.
Yeah, like the Wolf Man.
The lady, yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't. I don't know. He's gonna definitely put his own spin on it,
Right.
But I think it's gonna be an animated kind of Suicide Squad kind of style thing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm predicting. But I mean, it sounds cool. I mean, sounds like a good time,
Right. Well, it's an interesting property to start with for as an introduction to this universe. So,
well, he said that Superman is really the one that's going to set the tone.
Okay.
So that's his plan there. So, I mean, we can move on from that one because so then we have Waller, which is a spin-off of Gunn's Peacemaker series. Viola Davis will return as the ruthless and morally ambiguous head of a government task force. Also sounds cool. I mean, anything that's a Peacemaker was one of my favorite shows, so Peacemaker spinoff, hell yeah.
I would love to see more Viola Davis being Amanda Waller.
Yeah, I think she definitely nails the character.
Yeah, I think she really gets the character. I just want to see more of her because in the movies that she's been in, I don't know. I just can't. I just want to see more Viola Davis. Just keep the camera pointed on her.
She definitely feels like. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of that first Suicide Squad movie,
right?
But
she was great in it.
But yeah, she was good, and like when you're seeing her portray the character, she fits exactly what the character is in my head.
Right.
And I think that's why she like some people are just perfect cast. Like we were talking earlier, like I thought Carl Urban was perfect for Dredd.
Oh, 8,000% yes.
But anyway, so also we've got so now here's the one I were talking about, Superman Legacy. So it's Gunn is writing it, and he may direct, although they haven't said who's going to do that. And he said this is the two previous titles are meant to be I have no idea how to say this word, apartifs in Safran's word. Superman is the true kickoff for the duo's DCU plans. It's not an origin story, Safran said. It focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. He is the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way.
Mm.
Kindness in a world that thinks that kindness is old fashioned. I said the release date is going to be July 11th, 2025.
Right.
So when we'll get into this in a minute, but then he also said that he recommended people read Morrison's All Star Superman.
Mm.
So it sounds like he's going with a Morrison vibe Superman.
Okay.
This to me sounds kind of perfect.
Mm.
It's exactly what I want. I know the previous universe was more of like a Frank Miller-esque Superman.
Yes.
But this sounds to me like, again, like we were just talking about Waller, this is the Superman in my brain.
Right.
Hopefully.
Right. Hopefully. Well, it has been confirmed here on the Pitch Nerds that the Red Tidies are coming back. So, yes.
Has it? He said that the trunks are coming back?
Trunks are coming back.
Based on what?
What do you mean based on what?
Like where did he say that? Like when?
Oh God, Frosty, don't. I don't remember when. I heard.
No, I'm just curious because I saw he ran a poll on Twitter where he said trunks or no trunks, and most people voted trunks.
Oh yeah. That's what it was. Twitter. Yes.
But, yeah. So yeah. Just I hate to shoot you down, but he came out and said that poll is not binding.
Damn.
They haven't decided yet.
Mm.
So it still goes either way, but most of the Twitter crowd voted trunks. How do you land on trunks or no trunks?
Trunks. You need trunks.
I'm a no trunks.
He looked weird without trunks. He looks weird. Like something's missing.
I guess I just think it's. I look. I respect the iconic look, but I do side with the newer modern like 52 rebirth version where he doesn't. I just think the trunks. I understand they're supposed to evoke that like strongman kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm fine with a modern version. But I also respect the people that like the iconic.
Just without the trunks, his body looks too long. It depends on if they add like red on the like going up his legs, up to his calves and stuff. It's just a lot of blue and a lot of space. It just needs some type of color, maybe just a belt or something to keep it all.
He still has the belt.
Yeah, it looks weird. He needs some.
Fair enough. I prefer it without personally,
yeah.
So I mean, are you stoked on this one or no?
Yeah.
Or
so I want to see the Blue Boy Scout. I would love to see him, and this sounds perfect because we get to see the. Because he said he wanted to go for a younger Superman, so he's been around, but he's still young. He's learning, and I want to see that. Who would a good villain be? Do you think? It can't be too big.
I'm not sure.
I mean, Brainiac into something like that. You want to?
No, but Brainiac would be such a fun villain to use. I don't know. There's a lot. He's got a pretty big rogues gallery. You could do Brainiac, but do a smaller Brainiac in this one, and then have it become like a bigger threat overall.
Thing. Yeah, I suppose you could do that.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess I want Brainiac the most. But if I wasn't gonna do that, what are they saying? It's gonna be an origin. It's not, but it's about him balancing his Kryptonian heritage with human up. See, that's why I think Brainiac would work for that kind of thing, because then it's a Kryptonian villain. I will admit,
it's like infiltrating his cell phone, and that's how he finds out that he's like Kryptonian or something. Yes.
I didn't want them to go this way. I kind of wanted them to keep it more about his humanity and have the alien stuff come later and make it as alien to him.
Right.
Because look, I kind of Superman I identify with because he was born on Krypton, but he sent here. I was born in the UK, but I was sent here as a baby. I'm basically American. And then when I, grew up, like England was this kind of place that I have in my, heritage, but I was at my core still an American kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's kind of like the whole immigrant thing with Superman. But at the same time, I think they kind of nailed it. They're going. I mean, if they're pulling with Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman run, that was kind of the quintessential Superman, essentially. So,
who is his villain in that one?
Huh?
Who's one of the villains in that one? I don't think.
It's really about Superman's his cells get over radiated
Hmm.
and he's gonna die in a year.
Oh.
And so like I guess Lex Luthor is, but at the same time, Lex Luthor's on death row, and then yeah, like you did. They made an animated movie. Did you not see it?
I haven't seen that one.
Okay. But yeah, so yeah, we'll get into that in the comic discussion. But yeah, but that's the whole idea is they kind of boiled down the Man of Steel into the core aspects of his character,
Hmm.
but at the same time they brought it forward into the modern day.
Okay.
So it kind of pays homage to all the different versions of Superman.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, so like I think that sounds awesome. I'm so yes, let that set the thing,
yeah. Hmm.
the tone for the universe. Let that be our new DCU. You know,
Yes, the
um,
beacon. The beacon of
I'm
hope.
I'm stoked, but I know a lot of people aren't.
But why though? So again, there's
Because
different
the
versions.
internet is a very relaxed and chilled place where everyone comes together and respects each other's opinions. We all know this.
Well, I understand that. So you can like both things.
You can, but people don't.
But no, but you don't understand. You can like both. It's not a competition with other people like what they like. You can like both.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I don't really get the hate towards Gunn because it's like it's not his fault. Like someone came along and said, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And he probably was like jumping at the chance, just like we would.
Right.
And then, but if you brought me in, or you or both of us in, they were like, "We want you to figure out what the direction of DC is going to be."
Hmm.
We're not going to continue someone else's story. We're gonna put our own pitch nerds vibe on and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he came out and said that the Snyderverse is still canon. It's just an Elseworld.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everything else, because we're still getting Aquaman 2, which allegedly is going to have a tie into the new Gun universe. The Flashpoint movie's coming out, which is now going to be the birth of the new DC universe, which it's fine with.
No, they're doing Flashpoint to
Yeah,
click this one over.
right.
Yeah, I personally would say why bother, but
I mean, you have Booster Gold, and there's a contingency plan.
well, yeah. So we'll get to
We'll get to it. That's the fail-safe movie.
So yeah, so Superman Legacy is our starting point. It's the vibe. It sounds cool. It sounds cool to you too. But if he pulls it all off, obviously, there's
Right.
no point in saying and being like, oh, this is the best thing ever because we haven't seen it yet.
Right. Still a few years out, guys.
Yeah. Now we're getting a Lantern series.
Yes.
This also sounds awesome.
This sounds wonderful. Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart.
Yeah. So they scrapped the old Green Lantern TV series that was in works from Greg Berlanti's. And in its place, this new one is a new take on space cops with power rings. Direct quote: "Our vision is for this very much in the vein of True Detective." Safran describes it as terrestrial based. It will feature prominent Lantern heroes Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart, and is one of the most important shows that they have in development. This plays a really big role in leading our main story we are telling across film and TV. So sounds like this is going to set up their overarching thing.
Yes.
So I mean, I guess their overarching villain. Who knows? I mean, like who like maybe what's the name? Parallax?
Yeah, so I was thinking something like Parallax, because and this will kind of getting ahead of the release here, but there's speculation that this will all lead to Swamp Thing, because I think Swamp Thing is the last of the movies where it could end up in one cosmic lantern war, because at one point Swamp Thing was a White Lantern. So you can,
I didn't know that.
So you can kind of, because I think Gunn was only tasked to do this one phase of the movies, so he hasn't been contracted past that, at least that I'm aware of. So
oh, see, I thought he's the head of DC Studios. So.
I heard he's on a short-term contract though. I'm not sure, but if I'm wrong, but this could be his way of setting up this phase and keeping it ambiguous to the with a lot of different options and routes to go if somebody else would pick up after him. Like he's setting the foundation for everything in this phase. So, but that's getting a little bit ahead. But
I mean, regardless, like just if we ignore the overarching and all that kind of stuff, a Green Lantern TV series in the
fucking awesome.
It sounds awesome. Yeah, I mean, I like
right. It just, I hope at some point, and I guess Gunn really hinted at the other rings. I would love to see, and it's James Gunn, so I hope he will find a way to do it. I want to see a Dexstar. I want to see Atrocitus show up and have Dexstar just be meow. I want to see it.
No, I mean it would be cool. Like Green Lantern is a very I guess fruitful universe to pull from, and not universe, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot they can do, like you said, the War of the Rings and all that kind of stuff. There's Parallax, with Hal Jordan losing his mind.
Yeah.
They could bring in Kyle Rayner. It sounds like, they're doing Hal Jordan, John Stewart, which is cool. So,
let's see Guy Gardner, damn it.
I've never been a Guy Gardner fan. But
I know he's a prick. I have a soft spot for
him. And then we get so it sounds like we're both positive on that one.
Oh yeah.
The Authority, very cool team. The description.
So, I had never heard of them before.
Yeah, a lot of people haven't. This is again a Z-lister, but you've probably heard of some of the stuff that they've inspired. So
yeah.
It's a movie based on a team of superheroes with extreme methods, protecting the planet. The Force originated in late 1990 under an influential imprint known as Wildstorm. I mean, we could go over the details. Direct quote: "One of the things of the new DCU is that it's not just a story of heroes and villains. Not every film and TV show is going to be about good guy versus bad guy. Giant things from the sky come and good guys wins. There are white hats, black hats, and gray hats," added Saffron. They're kind of like Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men. They know that you want them on the wall, or at least they believe that. So this is essentially who the Authority are. So did you watch the animated movie Superman versus the Elite?
I think so, but it's been a while.
That's like there was that British character I can't remember his name. They're a really powerful group, and they kill people. They do whatever they have to. So the Elite are essentially derived from the Authority.
Okay.
Or there was the Justice League episode where there was like the evil Justice League in the alternate universe that took over the world.
Yeah.
Those are kind of derived from the Elite as well. So it's that sort of theme.
So sort of like the Boys, kind of.
Yeah, the Boys, basically all that stuff that's kind of come about. Like the Boys are not so much it all derives from those characters though.
Right,
so
right.
That's why we have that. The what's his name? Midnighter is like the two leads of the team, Midnighter and Apollo. Apollo is like a solar powered superhero. Sounds familiar.
Right.
And the Midnighter is like this dark clothes wearing guy that like is like a master of martial arts because he can predict whatever move you're making before you make it.
Interesting.
Sounds familiar. But the difference is, they don't have Superman's moral code.
Okay.
They're white hats, but at the same time, like they do, well, I guess gray hats. they believe they're doing what's right, but what they do is they don't care about the mythology. They'll kill someone.
Right. Okay.
And also they're Z-listers, so I think there's no point in really going into the characters because I think because they're Z-listers, he's going to put his own personalities. Kind of like what he did with Guardians.
Right.
But it sounds cool.
It sounds awesome as hell.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. Then we have Paradise Lost. So it's going to be an HBO series in a Game of Thrones style drama on Themyscira,
right?
Filled with political intrigue and scheming between power players. It takes place before the events of the Wonder Woman films. So that sounds cool too. I mean, I'm down with a Themyscira Game of Thrones.
Sounds woke. Where are all the white males in this show? I can just hear it. I can already hear the noise.
Yeah, I mean, but
Just,
I don't
just,
know. Like,
but it's a cool part of the mythos.
yeah, it is,
It
and I
really is, and
mean,
plus you can open up to a lot of those bigger godlike characters that
yeah, that's true. I
they
didn't even
deal
think
with.
about that. Yeah,
It is
like,
a springboard to, hey, here's Ares, here's Zeus, here's this and this and this and this, and hell,
yeah, and I liked the idea of it doing it like a Game of Thrones style show. You know
yeah,
what I
oh
mean?
yeah,
Like that sounds cool. So yeah, I'm definitely down. I mean, and it sounds cool. The next one is one of the ones I'm most excited for.
mm.
The Brave and the Bold.
Yes.
So
Oh, when I heard about this, my youngin let out a squeal that, oh my goodness. So,
yeah, it sounds just really, really cool. So
if here, I want to take the lead on this one because
go
of
for it.
my daughter. So, we are going to be getting a for the first time since what was his name, O'Donnell, that we're finally getting a Robin back on the big screen. What they're doing is they're not doing an origin story. So the Robin that we're getting, they're actually bumping forward a couple notches. And we're actually getting a Damian Wayne as Robin. I
Mhm.
love this. I think what they're going to do, because anybody who doesn't know the character, he's kind of a brat. He's
Mhm.
the biological son of Talia al Ghul and Bruce Wayne. He gets sent, so he's the grandson of Ra's al Ghul. Gets sent to
Mhm.
Batman because kind of he's a murder monster. So it'd be cool to see that dynamic where Batman's actually the one trying to talk down the kid, because normally it's the other way around where Batman's like the.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
it'd be
totally.
cool to see like the inverse of that. Um, Super
No,
excited
I
about this.
agree. It sounds awesome. I'm really excited for it. So, it also is going to be based off a Grant Morrison run, which
Mm,
is the Damien story
mm,
where Batman takes him in. So it's a kind of different father son story.
mm,
But yeah, I'm super stoked on this. Now, where it gets interesting to me is right here because they're also doing a sequel to the Batman.
mm.
It's going to be Elseworld,
Right.
but so whereas the Batman is going to be grounded like the last movie we saw,
Mm.
and I love the grounded Batman movies.
Yes.
They're awesome.
Yes.
But now I get both. I get the grounded Batman movie and I get the awesome like ghosted.
No, you get to pick one flavor.
No,
You
but I
pick
get
one flavor, and I'm going to get mad at you.
yeah, but you get the like because like the Damien story, there's like ghosts and assassins and
Yeah.
all sorts of craziness,
Right.
and yeah, and Ra's al Ghul and the Lazarus Pit, and
Right.
and so we get all of that, and then we switch over to Robert Pattinson's Batman. I mean, like the last one was awesome because it was
It's the
like a
Penguin.
serial killer
Yeah.
and like a detective
Yeah. The
story and
Penguin Riddler. Yeah. It was wonderful.
yeah, yeah, it was great.
So speaking
So
of
the fact that
which,
we get both is just I'm just so happy. Like, um, yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait.
so really quick, just to touch on that. So because we celebrated the youngin's birthday. She's born on Christmas, so we celebrated it belated. Mrs. Cat did get the youngin, um, Grant Morrison, the first appearance of Damian Wayne,
Okay, nice.
and great condition. I have an extra thing upstairs to kind of one of the claps or the little containers to put it in, so I can stick it to the
Uh-huh.
wall, a little mount. But yeah, super cool. This is my daughter's first moderately priced comic book. So, anyways,
um,
that's super cool. When I heard this, I was happy, but I was happy more for my kid who just really loves Damian Wayne.
yeah, well, that's cool. I mean, I'm excited to see Damian Wayne. I'm excited that, but more so that again they're going with a kind of Grant Morrison vibe, which I think is closer to the Batman in my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like yeah. So again,
So
I feel like if he pulls it off, he's definitely appealing to like what I love of these characters. You
Right.
know?
Well, what's great is they. I think it might be further up in the listing, but they're alluding to like a Bat family
Mm-hmm.
type deal, which would be wonderful. But
Well, I mean, once you have Damien, that is Bat
yeah,
Family.
that
Grant
is
Morrison's run is the Bat Family.
right. The Bat family. I would love to see. My goodness, I was talking about this Death of the Family, that recent run with the Joker, and he has like everybody's faces, and
Yeah.
it's all nasty. Like that'd be cool. I don't know. I'm really excited. Really, really excited about this.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. And then the Batman sequel, I love the Batman, and so yeah, super excited to see the second one.
I might actually rewatch that today because boy, is that a good movie.
Yeah, I thought Pattinson knocked it out of the park. I mean, loved it.
Yeah.
And then I know this is one that both me and you probably started squealing when we saw Booster Gold.
Yes.
So an HBO Max series based on the unique lesser-known hero created in 1986, Safran's set of the series. It's about a loser from the future who uses basic future technology to come back today and pretend to be a superhero. Gunn describes it as imposter syndrome as a superhero. So that's just the most unique one of the bunch. You know what I mean? Like,
Thanks,
I know,
Adrian.
yeah, we know Booster Gold because we're nerds, but I mean, just like separating that, this sounds like a unique thing. And I mean, Booster Gold, you just kind of love him as a character. Like,
right.
A lot of people are complaining, like I saw people going, like, "Who asked for this?"
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is their solution to King the Conqueror. Just what do we have that's similar but different? Boom.
Sort of, but it's also sillier. But
oh yeah, of course.
And I mean, I think as an I don't know. I guess I also identify with Booster as a character, like, and I like the idea of he's this unsung hero throughout history,
right?
Because he's saved the universe so many times, but nobody ever
knows it's him, right?
Yeah, and yet that was the original point of his character, was to come back and be this famous hero. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's just such an interesting character, such an interesting take. I think even people who maybe shy away from superhero stuff might find this one just as interesting to watch.
If it's done right, and hopefully we get some Blue Beetle action in there.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, it all comes with a caveat: if it's done well, you know.
Right, right.
I mean, I don't want to be like one of those people that's like, "Oh, I love this guy," but I generally enjoy everything Gunn's done. So I'm pretty happy with the. Not that he's necessarily directing. I don't know who's directing this one, but
I don't think they've announced that yet, have they?
Probably haven't.
No.
And then we also have Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. So this one comes from the Tom King miniseries. Have you read it?
So I actually haven't read this one, and I was hoping you have, so you can fill me in on it. So
I think it's a book you would enjoy. It's Supergirl going around with this like girl who was betrayed by space pirates, and it's kind of this like space adventure and stuff like that.
So she's still cousins with Superman then? Is that the...
Yeah, but it's not really about that. It's like, so this girl
is this the one where she's a survivor on like the remains of Krypton?
I don't remember that part of it. This girl gets betrayed by space pirates. Supergirl's with her. They go on a revenge mission, and eventually it's like the girl learns that revenge isn't the right thing to do, because Supergirl basically is like, don't be like that.
Right.
And it's cool though. It's like Supergirl with a blade, and they go to like a planet with like a red sun. She gets like stabbed with a bunch of arrows, and like, no, it's like a fun space adventure Supergirl story.
Okay.
She's kind of foul-mouthed and swearing throughout it, and so yeah, it's cool. I mean, the thing that we have written here is here's the direct quote. We will see the difference between Superman, who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents from the time he was an infant, versus Supergirl, raised on a rock. Well, yeah, so there you go. Chip off of Krypton, who watched everyone around her die and is killed in terrible ways for the first 14 years of her life, and then comes to Earth.
Right.
She is much more hardcore and not the Supergirl we're used to.
That sounds awesome. But
does sound cool.
So wasn't it?
Not everybody's a huge fan of Tom King though, but
See,
I thought it.
Then what I like about that is now we have Clark Kent trying to teach Supergirl. What's her name? Kara.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. So you have Clark Kent trying to teach Kara how to be a human, but who's still also an alien. Like we saw a little bit of that in my goodness.
But I hope they go with the whole like space adventure story thing, just because.
Oh yeah, of course. But on like the character level, I like that possibility of having Clark Kent being the one to teach Kara how to be human, who's also an alien. I like that.
I agree. I will just say one thing though. My favorite character, and I 100% like accept my bias here, is Power Girl.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have preferred a Power Girl instead of a Supergirl. That's just me. But
wasn't Power Girl just a clone of Supergirl?
No, Power Girl's Supergirl. I mean, okay, look, her origin has been done 100 times. Right. For a while, she was an Amazon. I'm not. She was from Atlantis or some shit. But really, depending on who you're saying, but generally it's accepted. She's Supergirl, but from Earth 2, and they were like older on that Earth. And then she did like the world's finest, but it was her and Huntress. Huntress was the daughter of Batman and Catwoman, and then they came from Earth 2 to Earth 1.
Sounds simple enough.
Yeah, but that's one of the origin stories and stuff like that. I know it's more complex, but I love Power Girl. I love Power
Girl. All
right. And then finally we have Swamp Thing, which is a horror film, which is going to close out the first chapter. And again, we'll get to the comics in just a second, but that's going to be off of Alan Moore's Absolute Swamp Thing run. So
I have not read that.
That also sounds dope. I mean, I guess I'm surprised that people are still so standoffish. This sounds all awesome.
Right. I love how they're going with a lot of unknowns here. They're not going with here's the Superman, here's the Aquaman, here is the this and this and this. They're starting kind of from a lower level, kind of working up, I guess.
True, but I think they're doing both because they've covered the Trinity.
Right.
There's 2 Batmans, a Superwoman, and a Wonder Woman series.
Right.
So we've got the Trinity down. And then they're also saying, but where else can we go? Here's a Booster Gold. Here's a Supergirl. All right, cool. Let's go even more obscure. Here's a Creature Commandos and an Authority.
Right.
So we're kind of hitting everything. We're getting a little. It's a smorgasbord. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna have that.
Well, it's interesting is James Gunn has come out and said that the Flash movie is a really good movie. In that,
I'm sure it is. I'm gonna watch it. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. So,
and apparently we are getting a introduction to Supergirl in the Flashpoint movie. Not sure if the actress is been recast for the new James Gunn moving forward. We'll see. Apparently she knocks it out of the park in this movie from what I've heard. I don't know. No, I love everything about this. It covers such a interesting, I don't know, just different parts of the DC universe, and I can see how they can kind of loosely kind of tie them all together into a bigger picture. I'm excited for it. And
I'm super excited. So right after he talked about that, he also came out and said, here's some comics to kind of give you guys some vibes, which you mentioned. Right. They've all been sold out, but he then came out and said DC's, these are graphic novels, so they're the hardbound ones.
Right.
So he said they're going to be printing more. So, which of course I'm sure DC's like, hell yeah, we'll print more.
Right. Poor Marvel.
Thanks, James.
Right.
Yeah.
That never happened with anything in the Marvel movies that I can.
Well, okay, so he came out and said that, look, this is more organized than Marvel, and it's like, yeah, Marvel, they did it more organically. It wasn't this planned. Now it's planned,
right? But
originally it was just we made Iron Man. And then we throw in this little bit with Fury at the end. What if that becomes something?
Right.
And then, we put Fury at the end of this movie. and then it starts building and building and building.
Right.
So yeah, of course. I mean, we know. I don't get James Gunn's comment there, like, "Oh, I think it's more organ." Yeah, duh.
It's not a bad thing.
No, no. But anyway, so he came out with some comics for suggestions. So we're just talking about the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which was, like I said, some people loved it, some people didn't. I thought it was kind of cool. And then next one was All-Star Superman, which there is an animated movie you can watch. I think it's up on HBO.
Okay.
It's pretty good. It's all about Superman's cells become supercharged with solar radiation, and he finds out he's got a year to live, and it's about like the last days of his life and stuff like that. And Lex Luthor's on death row, and so it's about Lex Luthor's last days as well. Spoilers. Superman flies into the sun at the end to fix the sun, and he's there for 10,000 years fixing the sun, and then he emerges and he literally becomes All-Star, which is probably like people have seen the pictures of like the golden Superman from the far future.
Right.
That's because of this. So it's kind of an Elseworld story. It takes all of the Supermen that like we've known throughout the years and kind of boils it down into this one amalgamation of kind of like what you like when you think of Superman. And it's a good story. There is no, like, you asked like who's the villain, there is no like, I mean, there is a big bad guy he fights at the end, and Lex Luthor is kind of one, but it's more just a story about Superman.
I kind of like that.
The famous part, like one of the bits that I like is like Ultra Sphinx shows up, and like he has to answer the riddle, what happens when an unstoppable force comes up against an immovable object or something. And then he said and then what was his answer? They surrender. And then he's like, that answer is acceptable. And yeah, it's cool. I recommend picking it up, reading it.
Okay.
It's a good comic. Grant Morrison. A lot of people say it's the best Superman comic. So some people don't like it. I thought it was dope. Then the Grant Morrison Batman Omnibus, which is a collection of Grant Morrison Batman stories. I am totally blanking on what's in that. Oh, the Damian story. Yeah, that's like the whole beginning part of the run.
Right.
And then there's some other stories in there. Again, another really cool, if you like Grant Morrison especially.
Is that where he tries to beat up Alfred so he can escape the Wayne Manor or something? Damian.
Oh, I don't. It's the whole story about him taking on Damian, and then and so it's that whole story, and then there's other stories with like different versions of Batman and stuff like that, and he teams up with them. There's like a Bane Batman.
Nice. Is that Batman Incorporated? Or is this like?
No. This is like again, it's a collection of stories across the years, all written by Grant Morrison.
All right.
Then we got Absolute Swamp Thing, which is a collection of Alan Moore Swamp Thing stories. And then the last one he recommended was The Authority Omnibus, which is a collection of the Authority stories, which we kind of already talked about. Some really cool stuff in there. They are all sold out. These books are expensive as well. So, I mean, if you want to buy them, like they range between like $75 and like $100. Because they're thick.
Yeah, they're probably chunky.
Yeah. But they're all really cool, and DC says he's reprinting them. I mean, I think it's a cool thing because you can pick these up and you kind of have an idea where they're going. And clearly they know their stuff. These are some of the best stuff out there.
Yeah.
I mean, like when you heard the comics, did it like make you excited?
So I actually haven't read any of them. So I was going to be one of those people who jumped on the bandwagon probably today to go see if I can pick up any of the hardbounds, at least one of them. Probably the
Yeah,
Swamp
you
Thing
can
one is.
probably turn on the HBO animated thing. It does pretty close to the thing. At
Yeah.
first, you're going to be like, "Wait, what?" Because this also threw me off. They're like, "This is the first manned mission to the sun," and I'm like, "Why are they going on a
Wait,
manned mission
wait,
to the
what?
sun?" Yeah,
wait a minute.
but I forget his name. It's that guy who's like a crazy genius, and then like that scientist guy, and then that's where like they realize Superman's become like because he has to go save them,
Okay.
and then that's when they realize like oh he's super strong because he's like lifting up like I don't know the
Heavy things.
40 quintillion trillion zillion tons or something,
Right.
and he's like I'm barely trying, and they're like yeah that's crazy. It is um a stupid powerful version of Superman.
Right.
Like he's like arm wrestling two gods at one point at the same time. He's just like bam,
Wham!
like no problem. Like and, yeah, and
That's
then like
awesome.
they're so strong they just like throw guys into space casually. And he's like looking up there, he's like, yeah, their lungs are popping. Like,
It's terrible.
so, but I mean, I think it's what makes it well written because it's like One Punch Man. He's so,
Okay.
like One Punch Man's so powerful, but they still have stakes. You know what I mean? They're
Right.
still like the point isn't like oh, it's not that whole thing where like whoa, here's Superman. Now we need Zod, someone that can fight Superman. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's not the point of it.
Right.
Which it's hard
Which
to do.
it's hard to
It's
do,
really
but I
hard to
actually
write
really
it.
respect the hell out of that because
Yeah,
it makes it a more fair fight, I guess.
yeah, but it's also really hard to write that, don't you think?
Oh yeah,
Like,
of course, because it's
uh,
yeah.
yeah, I respect it as well. Like when you can pull that off.
Well, it hasn't been
Uh,
done yet, so we'll see. Reserve
well,
all
yeah, I said
comments until
when you can
after.
pull it off. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so those comics all sound dope to me. I'm really excited. I'm glad it set the tone.
So, have you read any of that Swamp Thing run?
I mean, I've read bits and pieces.
Okay. So,
So again, it's a collection of them across the years, so
right.
it's not just like one continuous story. But yeah, there's. I
So,
mean, if you like Watchmen,
hmm
I think you'd probably like his Swamp Thing stories.
okay.
Most of them. There's one of them that, if I'm remembering right, is kind of lame. It's got like these like cartoonish things, and it gets a little silly.
Okay.
But the rest of it is pretty dope.
Mm, okay. Yeah, I'm excited for all of it. I honestly, I think the ones that I'm most excited for, obviously, Brave and the Bold. We talked about Booster Gold. I'm really excited for. Oh my goodness, just Swamp Thing. I
Really?
it just because I don't know much about him. I just know he's one of those tragic characters that I usually tend to lean towards. Sort of like a man dealing with his own like inner
Yeah, I kind of
turmoil.
think that a lot of the people that gravitated towards Snyder stuff because he also likes Alan Moore so much
Mhm.
might like this one.
Okay, so it's sort of
Because
giving the Snyder kids just a little piece of the cake too.
hopefully, I mean, like Snyder definitely pulls a lot of his information from Alan Moore and Frank Miller and
Mm,
those kind of stories. And so I think people that gravitate towards those kind of stories might also gravitate towards the Alan Moore Swamp Thing run.
right.
But we'll see.
Also, really excited for the lanterns. Good grief! I mean, notice how it's not called Green Lantern; it's called Lanterns.
No, I
All
didn't pick up
inclusive.
on
All inclusive. So,
that.
oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Um,
I hope that they give you what you want and we get but I kind of feel like maybe just start with the Green Lanterns and make it about like them
oh,
space
right,
hopping
right. They
around.
can space cop, but there's other lanterns
No,
and
I know, but maybe start getting into the other lanterns in season
season
2
two.
maybe.
Okay, that's fair enough. At least introduce. Doesn't Hal's girlfriend or something become Indigo and go crazy at some point?
Some yeah, when it's the love one though. It's the pink lanterns because the problem with pink is like love it's obviously a good emotion and everything, but love is also obsession.
Right.
And so like you can become obsessed and stuff like that. Indigo is the Indigo tribe. They're the ones with the staff, and I think that's Compassion,
Okay. That's
if
right.
I'm remembering it all right.
I,
I'm not the biggest Green Lantern guy. I enjoy it, but it's not like the one that I like know, super well. The pledges better than I do.
oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
I
I
love Red Lantern is still my favorite. It just, ugh. I love that
yeah.
you have to vomit your own blood, and then your blood gets replaced with just this nightmare fuel. Love it. Super cool.
My favorite's probably blue. I like I like the concept of hope, and I like how if you're like if I wish me and you, if we were lanterns, you'd be a green and I'd be a blue,
Hmm.
and then because like hope, like willpower gets even more powerful with hope. You know
Right,
what I mean?
like that they work together. Plus, we can have that
Yeah.
cool like back-to-back '90s style like.
Yeah. But the problem with being Hope is Blue Lantern is you need your bro, otherwise you're not that powerful. Like they rely on they empower each other. So
Bro, why would I go anywhere with a lantern ring and not have my bro with me?
no, I know, but
Like,
but
of course.
Green. I guess my point is Green works independently.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, but yeah, the but yeah, so yeah, I can't wait. This is all positive news for me.
Right.
Really excited to
But
see it again.
again, nothing's been executed yet. But as far as
Sure.
what they presented to us, I'm really excited for it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
really
yeah.
am.
It all sounds great.
But you know what? Apparently, we are getting our first trailer for the Flashpoint movie. It's going to be dropping Super Bowl.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
I believe it. It's that movie's coming out soon. What better way to get people excited for it is to throw it on the Super Bowl. Plus, I think that might help kind of dilute a lot of the Ezra Miller crap because a lot of the popcorn going thralls probably aren't aware with that sort of thing that happened with him. So I don't know.
Yeah.
He's in rehab. We wish him well. But
Yeah, no,
if
totally.
if James Gunn says that it's a solid movie, then I'm going to take him at his word, man. Just
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot
right.
of stuff I was excited about.
I can separate the actor from the movie.
Oh, so can I.
Yeah.
So well, okay, well let's jump into reviews. We had right now we're doing reviews for Vox Machina and The Last of Us. Which one did you want to start off with?
Oh my goodness. Did I choose last week? You can choose. I chose last week. You choose.
All right, well I have them written down as Vox Machina first, so we'll do them. So
Awesome.
episodes 7 through 9 of Vox Machina drops.
Mm-hmm.
The episodes are The Fey Realm, The Echo Tree, and Test of Pride.
Mm-hmm.
I guess short thing for the first one, Fey Realm. Keyleth, Vax, and Percy, they get sent to the Fey Realm, whereas Pike, Grog, and Scanlan get sent to. Well, they're still in the.
Yeah, they're still in their realm.
Yeah, what's it called? Theora, something or other. But she's obviously injured, and they realize Grog's whole thing with the sword, and so he snaps it. Well, he bashes it and breaks it, and the sword's like no, and then he
gets shriveled up to like
he loses all his muscles, and they're having to like cart him around.
It's such a great premise. Like we've lost our barbarian.
Whereas over with the others, they're in the far realm. There's like these weird jellyfish creatures attacking them.
Love the Fey realm in this.
Yeah, it's very cool. They meet a satyr named Garmale who wants to guide them. And then like the main thing is what's his name? Vax, he starts realizing that he's going down a different path than the rest of them because of his connection to the Maiden of Ravens.
Yeah. Well, everything in the Feywild is like attacking him. They react to his vestige, so.
But remember, he steps aside and he's like, yeah, I feel like I'm going somewhere else than you guys. You're not going to be able to follow me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, there's a lot there. Ripley tells Umbrasyl that Thordak is a fool for dismissing her power. So the dragon, Umbrasyl decides that it needs to go and get these vestiges that they're also trying to collect.
Right.
And then at the end of the episode, Pike, Scanlan, and Grog arrive at a small cottage, which is
Pike's like great grandfather or something like great grandfather. Yeah.
So like the key thing that they're obviously doing is a lot of these episodes are touching on their
background,
kind
their
of
families.
Yeah, their background, their families, their childhoods, and things like that. So what did you think of that episode?
Loved it. It was funny. It was sad. It was kind of everything all at once. I still love Grog when he broke the sword, because my character in your original campaign I think it was in Raiders, where I got the cursed sword and y'all had to kill my character. You didn't have to. So it was fun, but it's fun seeing.
You went and we buried an evil sword and was like, we're done with that. And then you specifically chose to unearth evil again, and we were all good characters. So yes, we've got to kill you.
That was funny.
You can't blame the evil sword when you went and got the evil sword, already knowing it was an evil sword.
So it was funny. It was fun seeing Grog just being reduced to just flesh and bone, and that ties into one of the the earlier episodes where how do you fight? Where do you fight from? Just with his training. So maybe I don't know.
They bring that up later because he does. I mean, that gets into episode 3. Like you said, it's foreshadowed. Like that, where does your strength come from?
Right.
And then at the end of episode 3, and we'll get to it, but he says, "My strength comes from protecting the little guys."
Right.
And then that's when he decides, even though he's all like slim and he doesn't have his muscles, he then goes to face off against his uncle. But we're skipping over episode 2, which is the Echo Tree, which this follows. The elves, I guess, can move their city out into the Feywild when they need to, and with dragons everywhere, they're like, fuck that.
They just nope out.
And then we find this ties into Vax and Vex's history.
Right.
The ruler is their father. They meet their half sister, and we kind of find out some of the issues with them. They left him and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he clearly doesn't have much. Isn't impressed by them.
Right.
They go off to seek the magic vestige bow. And he doesn't even believe it exists. He's like, but they managed to get passage to the city. Percy and Vex, they
have a blooming relationship a little bit.
Yeah, a little. They have some moments.
Actually, we didn't touch on it, but I love the little blossoming relationship between Scanlan and Pike. Like it's cute. Yeah, it's cute.
The thing where she calls Grog buddies.
Mm-hmm.
No, like why is it pluralized?
I never even noticed.
Huh. Oh, it drives me crazy.
Weird. I don't know. That's super weird. I don't know.
But if someone can explain that to me, please let me know. I mean,
it's a weird thing. I did love how Percy tried to flex in this one, and he just got shot down immediately. That's just funny.
But yeah, so we follow. It follows them. They run into this like evil fey creature. It turns out, oh god, how does she overpower it?
Which one?
Vex. She overpowers. They're all like getting captured by the evil creature, and it's like, I can do, blah blah blah, and then she punches it in the face because it says the wrong thing.
Oh. God, I forgot about that part.
Yeah. So
I was probably refilling my coffee when that happened. Look away for 1 minute.
Let's see. Vex sadness for Sildur's. Then she opens back portal. Well, the point is they overpower the creature, and they get the bow. She can go back and show her father.
That's what they do. So she takes the thing that Percy made, that arrowhead, and jams it in his heart when he.
Well, that's how she kills it, but when she was completely under its mind control.
So when he said, all I need is your heart," and it's like, no, my heart belongs to
someone else. Yes,
Yes, there we go. No, oh, that was a great scene, by the way.
Oh yeah, so I mean the show's got really good writing. And yeah, I love like that they set up stuff that pays off, and
Right.
but and then it turns out the satyr is actually this like kind of fey god or something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and it opens a portal. They and he's like, good luck and all this, you know.
Yeah. Can we
Classic
mention the fact
goofy.
that that dude was drawing like fanfic porn of the group?
Oh yeah. But I
Like,
mean that's great. I mean,
here's Vox with like 3 wieners, but each is tipped like the face of another character. It's like
she's got like giant boobs.
giant.
Man.
That was awesome.
But then we get into my favorite out of the 3 episodes, Test of Pride. So this story follows Scanlan, Pike, and Grog.
Mm,
So we find out Grog's history used to be part of the Herd,
mm,
which is a group that goes around like a barbarians, and they fall under this guy with these what's his name, Thunderfist,
yeah.
and he's got the vestige. It's Grog's uncle.
Mm,
But it turns out Grog saved Pike's grandfather or great grandfather or whatever, and then she never knew Grog's history, but he then ends up growing up with them, and he becomes the Grog we know. But in saving him, he was kicked out of the Herd.
right.
Now the Herd works for Umbrasyl, and they're gathering treasure.
Right.
The Herd is getting unhappy though, because they like, why are we working for a dragon?
Right.
And then Grog, the episode ends with Grog being like calling out his uncle.
Oi! And he's still
Yeah.
frail and like emaciated. Yeah, it's great.
Well, he's got they cured him of the blight or whatever that was in him.
With
It's
the,
just his
with the
muscles
enema.
need to like
regrow.
yeah. They not regrow. They said that they need to be like kickstarted, and something's gonna happen, and then they'll just be back. So I assume now that he knows where his strength comes from, and when he puts it to the test, he's going to be fighting his uncle. Then there'll be that moment where it's like, run! Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And he hulks out, and then he's going to win, and then they'll get the gauntlets. I assume that's what's going to happen, but I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert.
Well, it's not a spoiler because it's not out yet. This is me guessing, you know.
I see.
But this is my favorite one, Test of Pride. Which was your favorite of the 3?
I liked actually I liked the second and third one the most. We didn't really talk about it, but I forget the druid's name, but she had to help close that portal at the end, and she kind of tuned into her power again, and she was able to
she turned into the fire form,
giant like elemental type creature. Super fucking cool, by the way. I like her new outfit with the kind of like orangey flame kind of look to her. Love it.
You know, druids are the least played class in 5e.
Really?
Yeah, the number 1 most played is a human fighter.
Easy enough.
Well, it depends. I mean, fighters can be. They're very different in 5e. I mean, yeah, I guess they're the most combat-oriented class. And I think people tend to lean towards combat, but yeah. So just shut up and take my money.
8,000% shut up and take my money. Loved it. Oh god, that one scene with the when the Horde are presenting the treasures before the dragon, and it's like it's not enough, so he takes the one dude and just melts his face and just throws him down.
Oh yeah. Like the dragons are great.
Oh god, the dragons are just so evil, but I love that. They're just
they're really good.
We're better than you. You work for us now. That's it.
Yeah.
Like I love that. It doesn't need to be. I have, with tying into my quantum project, I have a race that's sort of like that where they just kind of showed up. It's like, yeah, we're in charge now. You all work for us.
But there is a dissent in the dragons we're starting to see, because Umbrasyl wants to get the vestiges because he thinks they're worth more than because that lady's talking to him.
Yeah.
And then but whereas Thordak is like, all I care about is gold. You know, bring me the gold. And so we're starting to see a little dissent in the Chroma Conclave, which is cool.
Which is cool because dragons normally work together anyways, so it's cool that they.
It depends on who's DMing.
I suppose. Historically,
in their universe, yeah, definitely.
Right.
But yeah, so it sounds like just shut up and take my money from both of us.
8,000% shut up and take my money. Take all my
It's
money.
a super good show.
Yes.
So on to another show. It sounds like everybody enjoyed.
The Last of
Last of Us
Us.
episode 3.
So I would best describe this show like the Super Mario Power Hour, where you have, hey kids, let's see what's going on with Mario and Luigi, and they have their thing, but then they cut to the.
It's such a weird, random take that it like seriously, if someone just tuned in and you're like, so The Last of Us is the Super Mario Power Hour, like wow, like I mean, I guess like people might be like, where the hell is he going with this? But continue.
No,
I'm intrigued.
So take Joel and Ellie's like story as like the live action Mario and Luigi bits. Sure, they're fun. You get to see live action Mario and Luigi, and they're doing their little bit. But the best part's the actual cartoon, and that's where it's either the opening to the show, or in this case, like the final half of the show. It always seems.
Episode 2 though was mostly about them in real time.
Yeah, I still think the strongest part of that episode was the beginning, but not to say that the rest of the episode was bad. I just think the beginning was stronger.
Yeah, but that was compared to the rest of it, that was relatively short.
Right, but either way, I think this kind of follows in that same footsteps where, yes, it's interesting seeing Joel and Ellie, but when the camera's not on them, it seems to be a lot more interesting. And this probably one of the better episodes of anything I've seen in a really long time on TV.
Yeah, it was definitely top tier TV. So the episode mostly follows Bill and I forget the other guy's name, but this basically survivalist guy who decides to stay in his house. He's kind of hidden below it, watching the people getting them out from the military, getting people out of the town. Once they leave, he sets up fences and kind of rebuilds the town. Later, he meets another person, and essentially they fall in love. And this is a story about him and his boyfriend, later husband. And it's just this beautiful story about them, and their, I mean, spoilers, their eventual death. And so it's this contained story about these, and then it ties into the overarching story because we find out that he meets Joel and Tess, and then at the end of this episode, they come to the resupply with Bill, essentially, and that's when they realize that Bill and his partner have passed on, and so that's where it connects. But yeah, it's just a beautiful story. I mean,
God, this was such a good story. So Swanson knocked it out of the park, by the way, like, because you had said that comment in the group chat about the character, but before I had actually seen it, so I had no idea going in what was going to happen. It was, I'm sure somebody out there is going to say this is woke. I'm sure it's happened, but good gravy. I hope this wins all the awards. This is so good. Oh, we lost a Frosty. Hold on, guys. We are going to wait for him to reboot. There he is. Come on, Frosty. There he is. So
needed to take a break.
What my favorite part of this episode was when it cuts forward a couple years and it shows the two of them fighting, and you don't initially know what they're fighting about, and then you come to realize that the one just wanted to repaint the house to just make it look a little bit nicer, and to, we're surviving, but we're not living. So he kind of,
I don't know. They survive pretty nicely compared to other people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Super fancy meals with wine and shit.
For sure. But his partner, it's like, hey, I want to invite friends over. There's no reason why we can't do these things and be normal. And that's when we see the tie-in with Tess and Joel. It was heartwarming. And then when the Raiders come and one gets shot, and just
and then you think he's like dead, or not dead. You think he's wounded, but then it turns out the other one's in the wheelchair, and like you're like, oh,
right. What a twist! What an off-camera twist.
Yeah.
But no, this. I hope the rest of this show is as good as this. This is already better than anything The Walking Dead has released, and I was a really big Walking Dead fan until it started to get awful. Um, I want more of this, please. And if anybody calls this woke or whatever, fuck you.
I didn't see a lot of that on this. It seems like this is pretty much, at least from the space of Twitter that we exist on.
Okay.
This was pretty much universally loved. If I had to, I guess I did see a few critiques. My one critique, which I would give, is that, and I'm not even saying it's bad. This is just if I was gonna have a critique, it's that you could pull this story out,
right,
and it would make no difference to the overarching story, to the main story,
right.
Because it exists in its own vacuum, essentially, kind of like in Book of Boba Fett when they cut to Mando's story,
or
but
the Super Mario Power Hour.
okay. But I'm going to compare it to Book of Boba Fett. So we have all the Boba Fett stuff, and then all of a sudden it cuts to Mando, and we have a story about Mando and Grogu and stuff like that for a couple episodes. That's kind of this. It's just like this whole episode was about someone that's not Joel or Ellie or their tail.
Right.
It connects to it, but and that, I guess, a lot of time they say, well, trim the fat. This whole episode was fat, but it's delicious fat. And so, I mean, that's why it's like I'm more or less okay with it.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was an awesome episode. I mean, I've been telling people that wouldn't normally watch this stuff. No, you got to watch this show.
Right.
Trust me, when you get to episode 3, you will understand why.
Right.
And it's a beautiful story. It's the Nick Offerman. Yeah, that dude can act the shit like you wouldn't normally think of him as someone, but like there's this kind of romance and love between the two characters, and he knocked it out of the park. It feels genuine.
It feels very sincere. It's love this. The Super Mario Power Hour episode 3. Shut up and take my money.
I don't know if I agree with that comparison exactly, but it's just shut up and take my money.
All right. So what differs this from, or differentiates this from the Book of Boba Fett, is that you had full episodes of Boba Fett with that were just interjected with 2 episodes of Mandalorian, and then it went back to Boba Fett. This is, hey, you kids, are you ready? Yeah, Mario. Da, 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 da. And then you have the live action Mario and Luigi, and they have their capers. And then
I understand
cuts to
what you're saying, but I don't think it does apply, because first episode you had what led up to it, but that's still Joel's story. And then you have Joel's story in episode 2. Yes, you had that little bit that was about like that one lady and but it was pretty small. It was so.
It was.
And then we had episode 3, where now we've got a whole other story, and then we had it was bookmarked by the Joel Ellie story.
We'll see what happens tonight. I'm excited to snuggle up and watch the latest episode.
I always forget that it falls on today's
Sunday. Yeah. So
I'll probably watch it as well. I'm not playing D&D at the moment, so
just in general, or you guys?
My DM doesn't play in a style that I can stand, I guess, and so I've decided to let the campaign move on without me.
No.
I think I'm DMing next, though, so I'll end up coming back as a DM. But basically, I can't. If the story trumps rules style of D&D, I just don't like, because then when someone breaks rules, I'm like, no, you can't do that. And I don't want to ruin anybody's time. If people enjoy that style of game, then enjoy it, but it's not fun for me. It's like nails on a chalkboard inside my head. So I figured the best thing for me to do was just to bow out and come back. But like, also the rule changes, like it was specifically affecting my character. Like, I wanted to take alert, for example, the feed alert, and like one of the rule changes is the DM completely changed the rules of being ambushed, and so that overrides all of my character's abilities that I specifically put points into.
Oh,
So it's like, well, that sucks.
that sucks.
But yeah, so yeah, I'm not. Some people love the game story trumps rules. I think rules should be like the hard line on which the story then is built upon.
Right.
But that's just me. All right, well, let's take a break from reviews because we'll jump back in with Attack the Block. But do you want to do Battle Nerds?
Yeah, let's do some Battle Nerds. So,
Okay.
we are on round 45, I believe. So this is where Mr. Frosty and I random roll out of a list of 100 characters, and we put them together in a death battle. We have who is it today? It's Star Killer versus Nightwing. Today.
Yeah. So our last battle was Xena versus Predator. Again, we random roll these, so and then we have to come up with a convincing argument as to why our character could win. So we do get some pretty big, strange matchups.
Did Lucy Lawless ever
Predator,
apply?
She did not.
Darn.
But Xena versus Predator, it was fairly close. Xena just barely inched out a win, so
Nice.
she goes on to take the win.
That's win number 2 for her, I believe.
Yeah. So so our current runnings are in first with 3 wins is Rogue, Spock, and Wolverine. In second place, Indiana Jones, Mario, Xena, and Ron Swanson. So they've all got 2 wins, and then we've got some people that've got 1 win, and then we have a whole bunch of people still ready to fight. Tonight's matchup is against 2 fresh opponents. Neither of them have fought before.
Yes.
So Cap rolled up Nightwing, and I got Star Killer.
Yes.
So Cap, who is Nightwing, and why do you think you can defeat Star Killer?
Really quick, Star Killer already has a vote from a fellow nerd, Adrian. I turned to him.
True, but I mean, like, we hadn't even discussed.
Oh, I know, but I knew that he likes both of those characters, so it's like, I wonder what he'll say. So he went straight to Star Killer. So my version of Nightwing, I'm going to go with, I don't know, just like an amalgam of just what I'd imagine Nightwing is in my head. So I think in his current...
But basically like comic Nightwing.
Yeah, just like comic Nightwing. I'm ignoring that he's currently like the Joker Nightwing right now in the comics. Just Nightwing, Dick Grayson, Bloodhaven, first Robin, trained by Batman, one of the best acrobats on Earth.
I think he is considered the most acrobatic human or something.
Yeah, can do the was it the triple backflip?
Well, quadruple.
Yeah, quadruple backflip. Plus, he also has the greatest tushy in all of comics. He does have his batons, his stun batons.
It's funny how DC has the best butt and best boobs, with Nightwing and Power Girl, respectively.
That is true. Anyways, that is Mr. Nightwing. He has all of his gadgets and gizmos on his utility belt. He has his motorcycle, I would imagine. He doesn't really have access to the Batwing, though I'm sure if he were to call it up in a pinch. But anyways, that's Nightwing. Tell us about Mr. Starkiller.
Okay, well, Starkiller, Vader's apprentice. You know more about him than I do. But I read some stuff and watched some stuff and learned some stuff about the character. But essentially, Vader's apprentice. He's in terms of power, the internet seems to be very divided, but essentially based on feats and everything, he's a force sensitive person, capable of going up and once defeating Vader, and also capable of going up against Palpatine.
Yes.
The theory is that his potential power is somewhere in Palpatine's area.
Right.
He's a duelist. He's able to absorb force lightning. He generally fights with reversed lightsabers, and 2 of them often. And he one of the big feats. It was already coming down, but he
The
did
Star
pull a
Destroyer.
Star Destroyer out of the sky.
Mm-hmm.
So he is monstrously powerful.
Right. That's like Magneto
Huh.
power. It's just
Yeah, I mean,
insane how powerful that is. So
it's some of the stuff we haven't seen. So I mean, you do kind of have to go like, well, how much of it, like, because he fell from orbit and he survived.
right.
So you kind of have to go, how much of it is him, how much of it is game mechanics, things like
Right.
that. But I mean, I think it's fair to say he's a force sensitive person. He's an excellent duelist, able to go toe to toe with Vader.
Mm.
And in terms of his force powers, he's comparable or
Palpatine.
potentially comparable to Palpatine. But
Yes.
he's definitely in those kind of areas.
He is definitely in those areas. So this is going to be a tricky one. So
Yeah, I mean, I feel like because I'm the one with the powers, that you're the one to have to defeat.
yeah, so I can see the two of them squaring off initially, and Nightwing very early on realizing, holy shit, this guy's a powerhouse, and because he is a skilled acrobat and ninja, I believe that he can dip out, and because the Force relies on what's living around the living Force, you're able to tune into people's energies. I think Nightwing might have a way to like ninja himself into just kind of fading into the background of his surroundings so that he's overlooked by
like slowing his heart down and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I can see him relying on that to get the upper edge of on Starkiller. Is you can't beat him in a straight on fight. I will absolutely concede to that. It's Starkiller. He's a fucking
If I had Nightwing, I would argue he could. But go on. I'm not going to play the game where I give your character
but see, he's got his batons, but you have to consider these lightsabers. You see, those are going to go straight through Nightwing, and you figure this guy can.
I understand that, but oh god, I'm doing it. But
you're right. It's just I know how acrobatic Nightwing is. I'm giving him that advantage initially to back out away from Starkiller once he realizes that he's going up against a powerhouse.
Okay. I would say, and I'm playing against my own thing.
We do this all the time. I hate
doing it, but
it's fun.
But Nightwing is probably the better fighter, and Nightwing is and you're like, oh, you can cut him in half, and oh, he's got all these powers. That's just Thursday to Grayson.
I know.
Oh no, you're so powerful you can pull a spaceship from the sky. I've gone up against characters that fight Superman.
Right.
Come on.
No, I get it. It's just I'm trying to not do that also, but with trying to I don't know. But I can see Nightwing being the smarter of the two opponents and him being able to ninja his way around Starkiller's force sensitivity. And then like the acrobat ninja that he is when Starkiller is distracted with something, maybe he doesn't sense Nightwing, is when Nightwing gets that sucker punch with either a one of his boomerangs or maybe just throws a baton at his head, something. But that's how I can see Nightwing taking out somebody as powerful as Starkiller. Because yes, Nightwing has gone up against powerful shit, but that Starkiller is no slouch. He is a tough opponent.
I didn't say it was.
But yes, compared to the DC Pantheon, he's but still, it's trying to factor in the squishy human element. But I can see him outsmarting Starkiller to get that one final blow when Starkiller's distracted. What do you got?
All right, well, I just think it comes down, in my head, this fight, it's Starkiller versus Nightwing, maybe Starkiller, like, crashes under Earth, but he used that ability he has to, like, make himself tougher, and
right.
And, so he crashes into, like, Gotham, and, like, Batman's on vacation or some shit.
Right.
And Nightwing's you gotta, like, stay down and everything, and then Starkiller doesn't understand any of this shit, and so he just starts going on a rampage. And so basically the fight's off, and Nightwing's obviously at a disadvantage, but he's surprised. He's like chucking giant pieces of debris, flipping over him,
Right.
running up the debris, and then all of a
Right.
sudden cuts the distance, and then boom, he's there. But
Yeah.
energy is scream, I absorb it,
Right.
because I'm Star Killer.
Right.
And so yeah, the fight goes down, and it looks awesome. I think it's closer than people are going to give it credit for.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, I think Star Killer can overwhelm and will eventually tire him out and thus take the win. I do think, and that's why. Yeah, I think it's just simple power.
Yeah.
He's more powerful, and he's not. And I think he's going to eventually be able to overwhelm Nightwing.
Okay.
I do think it's a clever idea, though. The idea of him using his training to like slow his heart rate so he doesn't appear alive. Though I think that's clever.
Yeah.
But yeah, and from my argument for his win is he just overwhelms him with his force powers.
Yeah.
And eventually, I think Nightwing.
You know what I would see? I could see some cool thing where you have Star Killer kind of down below and like a crater that's just starting to develop because he's just controlling so much force is pushing him into the ground, and he just has like a whole just like the chunks of building just floating above him, and Nightwing is kind of parkouring through all of it, and then Star Killer just once he gets kind of gets Grayson kind of centered in the middle of all this rubble, just collapses it all in on him and just squishes him with a building. I'd watch the shit out of that. To play devil's advocate from the Star Wars fan, I think that's cool as fuck.
Yeah, just I mean, again, we should have rolled. I mean, we're not allowed to trade, but
no,
man, in my head, night like he does that, and then he's like, ha ha ha, and he turns, but then all of a sudden, like you just see the thing, like do 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 do, like the things land, and
right.
And then he loses his force control, like
right.
And then like round 2.
Fight.
But
this is
a cool fight.
This is a cool fight. This is a really cool fight.
Yeah.
Oh, but see, that's what's great about Nightwing is that he's just so nimble. Like,
yeah. And he's got Batman's training. He thinks ahead. Like I said, you could see him using everything he's got at his disposal to put Star Killer off his game,
right? So
that like he loses his concentration.
With things like theatrics and stuff. So yeah.
Well, yeah, but like like I said, the Birdarang like lands and then and then he's like, drops the building, and stuff like that, and then like little smoke bombs roll up.
Right. Yeah. Oh, such a cool fight.
But yeah, so we'll put a poll up. Let us know who you guys think wins the battle. So it sounds like Cap's argument is that he can slow down his heart rate, and then use his stealth and stuff to slip past him and get a win that way. I'm arguing that just overwhelming power Star Killer wins. But also, yeah, besides voting, let us know who you guys how you think one would win.
Right.
That would be interesting to know what you guys think as well.
Well, you already have one vote from Mr. Adrian, so
yeah, we'll put so you can vote here on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. You can message us, you can DM us, like whatever. But we will put up a poll on Twitter. It's where most of you guys vote. Let us know who you think won.
Shall we roll for the next one next week? Yeah.
Oh yeah, we might as well.
I love that we do this weekly now.
I have the characters ready to go. So
79. Do I need to reroll?
Yeah, it has to be below 52.
A 19.
19. Oh, this is an interesting one. I really wanted to get your character because I have a lot of good arguments for her, but you got Mary Poppins.
Okay.
And
yes.
Her
okay.
opponent is someone that likes to go. Ah! Go.
Oh shit. Okay.
Can a Super Saiyan God defeat Mary Poppins?
Ooh, reality warper. Yeah. Okay.
It's so there you go. Mary Poppins versus Goku. Tune in next Sunday for that.
This is her first time fighting for both, isn't it?
Yep. Another 2 fresh characters.
Yes.
I'm actually gonna write it down. Oh. And reminder: last week the winner was Xena, so Predator is now off the list.
And Lucy Lawless, like our stream.
Yeah,
Please.
I mean, look, they get like celebrities get 1,000 messages, so we can't, they don't always see them. But
No.
it would have been cool if she had said like who thought she thought one.
Felicia Day said hi to us. That's awesome.
I still love Lucy Law. She's a goddess to me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so
jump into some pitches, yeah.
Huh?
Shall we jump into some?
Oh,
pitches?
I was going to say Behold Nerds.
Oh yeah. Oh shit. Forgot about Behold Nerds. Yeah. Let's do it. Behold Nerds.
Behold Nerds is our weekly show where we pick a movie or TV or something, and we encourage you guys to watch it. And then we watch it in the week leading up, and then we discuss it. It was Cap's pick last week. He chose a suggestion that came from me, which was Attack the Block, British sci-fi creature flick. What's the main actor's name again? Oh, he's got his name. The guy who played.
Finn. Oh my God, Boyega, John Boyega.
John Boyega, which you guys know from Star Wars. He was the lead in this. Plays a character named Finn. This is your first time seeing it, Cap. What did you think?
I love this movie. Everything down to the creature designs to it feels like the Goonies, but you hate the Goonies. Like, because you're following punk kids and they're jerks, but they just happen to find an alien.
They're jerks, but like you understand.
You understand, yeah. That's sort of revealed through the movie, but this is a fun little monster movie. It was scaled down monster movie. You have the John Boyega's character who's a jerk in this with his buddies, rob a lady, and there's a meteor impact, and it happens to be an alien that they chase into like a little barn or something, just a little shack outside, and they beat the shit out of it, and they strut it around like, hey, check out this thing, maybe we can use it to get some weed. So then they go and meet
well, I think they could sell it for a paper and make some money.
Yeah, exactly. So it's revealed that is the female, and the males soon arrive on Earth, and good gravy, hilarity ensues. I really love the creature designs on this. I love how they're just kind of icky black, and you see what looks like eyes, but it's not eyes, it's her teeth, and how they kind of snarl. Really cool. Really, really, really cool. They're almost like baboon wolves.
What do they call them? They call them werewolf somethings. Gorilla werewolf monsters.
Yeah. And that's what it looked like. Just really cool. And because of how they look, because there's this icky black, you never really see them to their full detail outside of like their mouth. You just kind of see the shape of them, which I thought was really cool, because usually people want to really see the monster, really see the beast. But
I forget there's a color of black, and that's what they like that you can't really see, and they're that color of black.
Yeah,
where it's just like, it's like my cat is sort of that way. If I take a picture of him, sometimes it's just a black like orb, and then you just see the two little glowing eyes.
Yeah.
It's that style. So so it's a story about inner city British kids. And they live in a council estate. I'm guessing Americans don't know what that is. Basically, in England, if you don't have a lot of money, the government will give you somewhere to live at reduced rent. And that's what a council estate is. My grandmother had a council house, so it's like a cheap house. I mean, a lot of time I consider
it's sort of like it's like Section 8, like affordable housing.
Yeah,
like
I consider moving in with her when I lived in England, and then like, because if you live in that council house for so many years, and like after she passed, it sounds morbid. I'm not saying I wanted her to pass away, but if I had moved in with her and when she passed away, I would have inherited it, and then I would have had a whole house at like nothing. It would have been practically free,
right?
And so these council estates, so they're cheap housing, and there's this is like a big, they call it the block, and basically aliens crash land. Like Cap said, they kill a female, and then the males, they're all designed to follow it. The movie also has commentary about like what it's like to be an inner city London youth. The only real villain is also the only person that ever has a gun, if you notice. is the guy who calls the block his, and he runs it. There's Nick, what's his name? Nick Frost, I think. His character's in this movie, and yeah, he runs the weed room, which the villain kind of also controls.
Right.
And so yeah, it's a creature film. It's super fun.
Yeah.
Couple of things that it's mostly practical effects.
Really?
They use CGI as sparingly as possible.
Okay.
Because they wanted to have that kind of
that monster.
Yeah, like look to it, which like sounds like you thought it did as well. Like you were, and then so the writer director Joe Cornish, he said he was inspired to make this film after actually being mugged in real life one night, basically the same way the female character Sam is portrayed. He noticed that the 5 young assailants were as scared as he was, and he started researching their lives, and thus he made this movie. The other thing that inspired this movie is he was watching Signs, and he started to imagine, what if this happened in South London instead of the United States.
Right.
So but the other thing for me, this movie, that when I spent time in England, I'm born in England, and the way they all talk, that Jafakian accent, that's actually what it was called. They worked really hard to make sure all the people spoke that way. That was the cool way to speak when I was in high school. Everybody talked like this, like
Can you still do it?
Oh no, I mean, like that whole like in it and all that, like yeah, but it used to be Cockney in London, and then it started switching to this, and that's where it. And then because I went to school on an American military base, it merged with American speak, and then we started coming up with it was like. I'll throw out some of the words that we use, like Billy Oppe and Schmoke as my gaba. And like things like that. I know no one knows other than what I'm talking about, but that's how we talked in England.
We just lost viewers.
One of the things I love about the UK is like how you can drive like an hour, and there's been two different dialects by the time you get there. Wow. And like it's crazy. All the different dialects in England are super interesting. You get dialects over here, but it's much more spread out, like you got like the southern draws and like all that,
Midwest
and all that.
Boston.
But in England, man, it's such a small country. Like I say, you drive an hour and it's already switched a couple of times.
Wow.
But yeah, super fun movie. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
So, funny that you mentioned Signs being an inspiration, because I actually, it was a throwaway line. You have the two littler kids who are like
mayhem and props.
Mayhem, just one of them's got.
No one's gonna call you mayhem if you keep acting like a pussy.
So he's got a super soaker type thing, and there's a line in the movie where it said, "Oh, this is full of water, but you can't hurt them with water." And I immediately thought of Signs.
Yeah, I did too.
Okay, so that was fun, but it turns out it's like full of like gasoline or some shit or something.
Yeah, terrible. And then they were using the fireworks to set them on fire. And,
so
yeah, it was cool. Like I noticed that it had some gore, but being England. They don't like gore and violence as much as Americans. They're way less cool with it.
Right.
They're more cool with like nudity and stuff.
Right.
But
sorely lacking in this movie. Sorely lacking.
It's all a bunch of kids.
Hey, if you've been keeping up with Velma, it's okay to exploit high schoolers.
I have not been keeping up with Velma. I haven't even watched one episode. But yeah, so But yeah, so there's a little bit of gore, but it's not too much. We see like the main villain get his face ripped off, and even that was done. Like I wasn't expecting that. That was probably the goriest thing in the movie. Or it's like, oh shit! Like half of his like face flesh got chewed off, and then some of the people get pretty fucked up. Like their friend when they're in that hallway, and you just see him like help, and it's like the creature's like crushing his skull.
Yeah, and the dude that got his head bit through the helmet.
The
helmet popped off. So. But the way it's shot, I guess, is less gory, but the implications are done better, I guess, I don't know.
No, yeah, they definitely, yeah, they felt like scary monsters, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, but with
there's a part where they attack the cops and you just see blood spray and
yeah.
stuff like that.
When we first see one and it's the eyes, and it turns out it's not the eyes, it's the teeth.
It's
It's like
teeth,
that's
yeah.
super cool.
Yeah, cool
It's
creature design. I agree.
because
Yeah.
really the only thing you see other than like the silhouette, the outline of them, is like big.
Yeah, they do kind of, they describe them as like guerrilla werewolf
Yeah.
things, and they kind of do feel like guerrilla werewolves.
Right.
But yeah, it was clever. They, like I said, they find out that the one they killed in the beginning was a female that like covered them with their like pheromones, or at least that's the theory. My favorite part in this whole movie though is when the nurse lady's sneaking out, and because she doesn't have the pheromones
Yeah,
on
yeah,
her,
yeah.
so they figure she can get by him.
Mm.
And then Nick Frost, he opens the door and he goes, "Is it safe to come out yet?" And she's like, and he's like, "Oh, good luck then," and he just closes the door. I love those kind of characters.
Yeah. Okay, bye. Nope.
But yeah, then we see like the police show up, and they're the rare, uh, they're armed police, and that's because in the UK cops don't carry guns.
Right.
But yeah, it was super fun movie. It was great seeing the characters. I like the part with the guy on the moped.
He's got the sword. Yeah.
He's like, yeah. Oh, I forget what his dog's name is, but he's like, "This one's for blah blah."
Yeah,
His dog.
no, it's Bogo. Like
So,
something.
yeah. He pulls out the blade.
Yeah. The poor dog. Oh, poor dog. This was a great movie. Fellow nerd Adrian said that he's seen this movie, really liked it. This is a good suggestion. I like this one. You suggested it. I picked it. Well, I'll pick my original one next week when it's my turn, but it is technically your turn again. We discussed this off air, but if you would like to tell everybody what we were watching this week.
So it's gonna end soon, and I would like to jump into it. I think I'll probably rewatch from the beginning. And Cap hasn't seen it yet, so I suggested we watch the first 2 episodes of Doom Patrol on HBO.
Yes.
One of my favorite series. It paused, and then the break in between.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that where you like a show, but then there's a break and then you just don't return?
Yeah.
That's sort of what happened with Doom Patrol and me.
Okay.
But I'm excited to revisit it. The first couple episodes, especially, are really, really strong.
Okay.
So, and when is Brendan Fraser not a joy to watch?
Right. I'm glad that he's sort of resurfaced. Like.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, so check it out. We'll be discussing the first 2 episodes next week.
Nice.
So let's jump into our pitches because we got 20 something minutes left. Or no, less than that.
So I'll go first, but we at the Pitch Nerds, we take ideas, we create our own original stories using existing franchises, usually franchises that needed a little bit of help. We also take suggestions from people, and which brings us to today. Fellow nerd Noble, when he was here the other week, well, he was sitting here on the couch. He just kind of looked up with a grin and said, "My Little Pony." So we get to do a My Little Pony pitch. Frosty had a great idea. I had a premise for an idea that has since changed into something else. Shall we dive in? Yeah?
Yeah.
I'll do mine first because you probably have a lot more written out than I did. So,
I've got an entire movie here. Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of have a premise for a movie. I've had a busy week, so I haven't had the time to really sit and write it all out. But I did want to take that idea of having all the Hasbro toys sort of interact with each other. So get Transformers, My Little Pony leading the charge, but also bring in like a G.I. Joe and have it where it starts on in Equestria, and you have Discord.
He's my villain too.
Oh, yes. So have something where Pinkie Pie ends up in Discord's lair, and she finds something called like the Metacube or something, and she triggers that by accident. It just sends this ripple throughout all of Equestria, and some time she manages to escape somehow, and time goes by, but things are kind of strange. Like there's people are on edge, and people are just there's an eeriness that's kind of being sensed by all the magic users. So have Rarity throw some type of party for some reason, because that's what she does, and or a Pinkie Pie, but Rarity wants to show off this thing where she has this carriage that comes rolling up, and it's this cool yellow carriage, and it's being pulled by no horses. It's just autonomous. It's weird. And have this eventually be a reveal that it's Bumblebee, and somehow whatever has been triggered by this rift, Bumblebee ended up in this world with horses. And because he's a transformer, he's a robot in disguise. Well, I can't turn into a VW bug, so I'm going to transform into this cool carriage thing. Have it be revealed somehow that they detect some type of energy surge on Cybertron that was linked to this reality or something through a space bridge, and then it's them going on a quest to kind of put reality back together, and at some point bring in G.I. Joes and have it be, you have to have the aircraft carrier, of course, but have Discord sort of be like the lower villain, but once you get like Cobra Commander and Megatron, I can see the two of them kind of using each other to kind of, oh, we can take over. Oh, it's like, oh yes, my puppet fleshling. I can see the two of them having a lot of fun with like weather machines and just doing really dumb shit, just raining havoc on Equestria, for the sake of just obtaining some type of MacGuffin power source that controls all these realities, and it's just them having to team up with G.I. Joe and My Little Pony, with Bumblebee and Pinkie Pie sort of leading the charge. Yeah, shut up and take my money. Just have all the toys. And you know what? This is reminiscent from what I used to play with my daughter with toys. Is we'd play My Little Pony, and I would introduce like my Transformers. Like, oh, I'm Soundwave. Let's have a party. What Soundwave do? I'm gonna transform into the boombox that's going to be used to play the music that's going to infiltrate the thing. And actually, I had a thought where, because they have record players in My Little Pony world, Soundwave is already like infiltrated, and he's disguised as
so your movie is just take the toy box and
yes, all the toys. Have it be like a 3-part animated movie series, and just have fun with it. Just smash all the toys together.
Sounds like a good time. I would probably watch it. I mean,
it just can you imagine like a G.I. Joe? Who's your favorite G.I. Joe?
Oh, there's only one right answer. It's Snake Eyes.
I mean, all right, so imagine Snake Eyes on the back of like a Pegasus My Little Pony, just, and then you have what's his wolf name? Fang, right? No, what's his wolf's name?
Snake Eyes. Yeah. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, and just have his wolf there just riding among all the My Little Ponies as they're rushing into battle against Megatron and Cobra Commander.
Yeah, yes. There's a part where freaking, like, what's her name? Twilight Sparkle. She's all like fucked up and like, and then you hear like Twilight on your left. Like,
it's Optimus Prime.
Yeah, like the entire Hasbro line comes through.
Yeah.
Hasbro, assemble.
And have it end with a song about friendship. Like Captain EO the shit out of that. Just use their magic as friendship crap, and just Captain EO the hell out of Cobra Commander and Megatron. Save the day.
All right, well, my movie, it also comes from me playing with your daughter. I lived with Cap for a while, and your daughter went through a My Little Ponies phase where she would teach us about the show and everything, and I played toys with her, and yeah. So my movie starts, and it's kind of where you would expect. Turns out Discord broke free from his seal or whatever, and the ponies are stopping him. And, you know, we're seeing like all of the ponies showing what they can do. Like Twilight's like flying around, you know, super fast, and then doing the rainbow thing, and then he gets hit, and
right,
you know, they're firing magic. You know, what's her name is Applejack. She's super strong, so she like kicks him, and then it looks like then they form together and friendship is magic. And he's like, no. And he gets sent back to, in my head, I'm not sure if this is show accurate, but he represents the element of chaos. So they send him back to like this chaos realm.
Mm-hmm.
And but in that battle, motes of chaos traveled all throughout the land.
Uh-oh.
So we see one of these motes lands in Gotham, and so Batman is driving around in the Batmobile, and like all of his like rogues gallery are going crazy, and he's trying to save people on this night and everything like that. He figures out that it's the ponies and how they stopped the this thing, and he's like, so he starts taking tabs on the ponies. What if the ponies ever turned against us? And so cut to the chaos realm, and then Discord, he's talking to his like underlings and stuff, and he's like, and they're like, oh, you lost, we're sorry, boss. And he's like, no, I learned something. While I was fighting the ponies, I sent out my chaos, and there I found my champion, one who wields fear. And they're like, fear's not chaos. He goes, no, but fear often is the birth of chaos.
Oh.
And now I can and so Discord taps into Batman's mind.
Nice.
And he appears to him as his father, Thomas Wayne. And so Thomas Wayne starts telling Batman, like, we've got to stop these ponies, and it's like one of those, like, you will do what I say, son. And, all and I imagine he has like glowing red eyes, and only Batman sees him. At the same time, Alfred keeps coming before him, and Alfred's like, you shouldn't do this, like yes, like they're heroes and everything, but being that he lost his father, Batman puts into play his plan to take down the My Little Ponies. So he first goes for and takes on Fluttershy. Fluttershy, if we recall from the show, has takes care of vampire fruit bats, and she can use her power, the stare, to control them. She doesn't like using it because she's literally taking away animals' free will when she does it, but she will do it in important situations. So a little like thing, Batman puts a little device on the fruit tree, and it sets off a signal which drives all the fruit bats crazy. They're all going crazy, and they're starting to tear up everything. And so like the ponies are like, help us, Fluttershy. And then so she decides, I will use the stare. So she uses the stare. But we also know that she became Flutterbat. So because she's got the bat DNA, as soon as she uses the stare, and connects with the vampire fruit bats, it triggers her bat DNA, and then that causes her stare power to connect with the echolocation of the bats. So it goes into overdrive. So then she's like, I can't turn it off. And like she turns to a pony, and they're like, yes, my queen. She's like, no. And she's like horrified by this. So she flies off because she can't control her power. It's in
and the
overdrive.
bats follow her.
Yeah. Then cuts to Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash is busy breaking apart clouds, doing all this stuff. But then there's one cloud that looks a little dark and different. He breaks it apart, but then she's like, oh, that's good, I did it. But then little spores get inhaled into her, and then her heart starts like to slow down, and then she hears a recording that Batman left behind, and he says, like, you better get moving. If you fly below Mach 5, your adrenaline will not be able to keep the poisons at bay.
You're flashing.
Your heart will stop.
You are doing the Flash on Rainbow
Shut
Dash.
So she realizes in her horror that she has to fly at Mach 5 and she can't stop. So she's just like constantly flying around the earth, keeping her adrenaline going, but getting more tired all the time.
Right.
Then it cuts to Applejack. Applejack is busy about to eat an apple fritter, right? But it turns out Batman laced the apple fritter with nanites. So she eats the apple fritter, and the nanites start to go into function. So she stands up, and then she's like, "Oh my god, I can't stand up." So she has superhuman strength. So she starts pushing in harder. Still can't. The harder she tries to push herself up, the harder she's getting crushed. So the nanites are producing gravitons and exactly that are getting powered by her superhuman strength. So the harder she tries to fight, the more she's getting crushed. So she's left sitting there getting crushed beneath gravitons with her own strength being the thing that powers it.
Nice.
So the ponies are getting into disarray. Rarity figures this out. Rarity's the best fighter. Batman calls her out, bat symbol. She appears, she lands, and then she's like, I'm gonna take you down. I can't believe you're doing this to my friends. So Rarity, being the best hand-to-hand fighter, goes up against Batman. He's fighting her and stuff like that. And we're having this awesome fight across the rooftops. And then she's like, and it's like Batman can't win. She's a better fighter than him. But the whole time he's fighting, he's talking about like, I'm also Bruce Wayne. I'm the richest person here. And he's like, he's left his jewels and gems, and he's like, look what's here. And then he's like, plus your beauty. And he starts appealing to her beauty, his wealth, and everything. And then she's got him pressed against his wall. And he's like, no pony can compare to you. She's like, shut up. No, but my friends. And he's like, think of us. And then she goes into the kiss, and then he puts a device on her back, and it's based on the Joker thing.
Yep.
And it shocks her system, takes out Rarity.
Nice.
Finally, Twilight Sparkle. Oh, he also wraps her horn. And the reason he was able to go toe-to-toe with her is he had covered his suit, his cowl, with nth metal. So all her magic attacks he was able to absorb.
Nothing.
So he covers her horn in nth metal and disables her magic.
Nice.
Finally, the Batman appears before Twilight Sparkle. She's like, I'm going to take you down. You can't believe you did this to my friends. And he goes, but you've already lost. You've let all your friends lose. Your friendship is over with them. You have nothing left. And then she's like, I've lost my friends. No. So without friendship, there can be no magic.
Right.
So Batman, I goes, I don't even need to fight you. You've already lost. And he turns away, and we just see Twilight Sparkle broken and crying in the corner, realizing that she's lost all her friends. Then, and with Batman having won, we see the Thomas Wayne with the glowing red eyes, like, yes, you've done it. You'll be my champion and everything. And then Alfred's like, no. And he's like, I'm your father. Do what I say. And Alfred's like, you're not his father. He goes, I'm his father. I raised him. I took care of him.
Oh.
You're not Thomas Wayne. And then Batman realizes, yeah, Alfred's my what have I done? I've taken down these innocent ponies. And then he snaps out of it. We see in the distance the massive dragon Discord is now on Earth, and Batman's standing over the grave of Alfred. Oh, Alfred's already long since died. Time has passed somehow. Alfred and Batman has brought chaos to the Earth. So Batman then realizes what he has to do. So he goes about undoing the damage he's done. He rescues Twilight Sparkle. He rescues Fluttershy. He rescues Rainbow Dash. He gets them together. Finally, Batman and ponies united against Discord. They're fighting him. The ponies, they perform, what is it? I have it written down. Honesty, kindness, laughter, generosity, loyalty, friendship is magic. And then, but Discord's like, I am too powerful now. Like, fear has brought this realm upon me. Batman is mine. And then Batman realizes that his element isn't fear. It's justice. The ponies are like, help us, Batman. Help us, Batman. And then Batman's like, justice. Now the two form. Friendship is magic. Boom, it destroys Discord. Discord is sealed away forever. The day is saved.
Yes. Yes. Bravo, sir. Well done. That was great.
It was a lot of fun.
Where's Pinkie Pie?
Oh, sorry. Yes, Pinkie Pie. I left her out. I have her written down. Pinkie Pie was defeated by... I wrote it down. Where did she go? Did I actually delete over? That's why I missed her. So Pinkie Pie, I did write it down, but Pinkie Pie was defeated because he used. Oh, I have it right here. The more okay, Pinkie Pie. So her pinky sense goes off, and then she finds a box. And then when she gets near it, the box is triggered and it opens because she's got cartoon powers.
Yeah.
So it opens to a realm where there's a brony convention of fifth dimensional beings. And then she's like, and then so she tries to use her cartoon powers, but their cartoon powers are too great.
Right.
And they're like, come to the convention. And she's like, no. And then she gets ripped through the boom tube to the brony convention.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Of like fifth dimensional imps.
There's like freaking Pinky Mite.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's nightmare fuel. That was awesome, man. This was a fun pitch. I wish I had more time to really write mine down, but I like both of them. Just
I like how we both though were like My Little Ponies, and you were like, no, Transformers and My Little. And I was like, Batman and My Little Ponies.
But honestly, though,
no one better watch this though, because like he's the one that suggested it.
Right. I will make sure he watches this. Anyways, so what did y'all think of our pitches? Had fun with it? We don't have anything lined up next. We can probably figure it out within the next week, and then figure out what we're gonna do by next show. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure it out later.
We should do unnecessary prequels.
Yeah, we'll come up with something. If anybody has any suggestions, obviously let us know, and we'll obviously consider that and probably do it, just because we just did My Little Freaking Pony. So
this was fun though. But you know,
yeah, it was. I actually had a lot of fun.
You know what's great about this one though is that both of our stories stem from hanging out with the youngin and playing toys with the youngin. That's the real takeaway here. I love that.
You know, I remember I was telling you about how I had a Martian Manhunter figure, but he was like a Tarzan,
like a jungle man. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone actually reached out to us and said that they think that sounds like a really awesome Elseworld story.
That would be a cool Elseworld story.
Yeah, like Martian Manhunter, but he's like kind of brought down to earth and lives in this like savage land.
Yeah. Or just like prehistoric Manhunter type thing.
Yeah. It would be cool.
That'd be cool. Anyways, we are at that time, so we should probably wrap it for everybody who watched. Thanks for watching. For those who haven't yet but will, thanks for watching. In tradition of the show, we like to end the show with a nerdy quote by Mr. Frosty. Usually one of my favorite things.
This one's not the longest one. Comes from Mr. Spock. Highly illogical.